Hello BookTube and welcome to Weekly Reads. So the first book I read this week, and really the only one I can talk about, is The 100 Years War on Palestine by Rashid Khalidi. This is a history of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict from 1917 and the Balfour Declaration to 2017 and Donald Trump's joke of a peace proposal. Khalidi breaks down the conflict into 6 declarations of war. The first one lasting from the Balfour Declaration in 1917 to the 1939 White Paper aiming to limit Jewish immigration into Palestine. The second, the Israeli War of Independence. The third, the 1967 Six Days War. The fourth, the 1982 invasion of Lebanon. The fifth, the First Intifada, and the sixth, the Second Intifada. Some of these conflicts are like shorter period. Obviously, the first declaration of war is 1917 to 1939. The second is 1947 and 1948. The third is 1967. The fourth is 1982. The fifth is 1986 to about 1995. And the sixth is from 2000 to pretty much 2014 or 2015, to current. This book is amazing. I loved it. It really opened my eyes to aspects of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict I've never really thought of before. And I quite enjoyed Khalidi's penchant for criticizing everybody, from the Israelis to the Britain and America to Palestinian leadership to the Arab leadership. So it was really good. Highly recommend it. So I read The 100 Years War on Palestine Saturday and the first part of Sunday. So with that little chunk of time on Sunday, I was able to start on Hidden Valley Road by Robert Kolker. As it is for the Booker Prize, I can only say I've read it. And then that little chunk of time allowed me to also read What is the Grass by Doty. Again, it is for the Booker Prize, and so I'm only going to say I've read it until, and I will basically give my thoughts on both when the octafinal results are announced either at the end of March or beginning of April. And I read both from an ebook form from my library. So what am I going to be reading this coming week? First up is Square Haunting by Francesca Wade. This is for the Booker Prize, and this will finish out my the 6 books of my round of my group that I need to read. So I'll get that done this weekend. And for the work week, I'm planning on doing some of the March readathon, reading challenges, reading events that are going to be taking place. So I'm going to break this down into basically what my March mystery, the March reading challenges and reading events are. So I'll start with March Mystery Madness, and then March of the Mammoths, and then March of the Moderns, although I'm also kind of sort of counting it all as a March of the Mammoths, although it's divided into 3 books. But anyway, so for sure this week, or next week, for March Mystery Madness, I will be reading The Body in the Library by Agatha Christie. I'd originally planned on reading Sad Cypress, since it is the next book in the omnibus of Agatha Christie's novels that I'm currently working my way through. But Steve Donahue and David Mitchell are doing a readathon of various detective novels this month, and this coming week, the book they're going to be doing is The Body in the Library, so I decided I'm going to join in, and I'm looking forward to it. Now, I'm not entirely sure when I'm going to get to the second book I want to read in March Mystery Madness, although I might also still take on Sad Cypress. But the second book I know for sure I want to do for March Mystery Madness is Magic for Liars by Sarah Gailey. I read this about not quite 2 years ago, and I didn't quite get on with it, but I do want to give this another go. And I'm quite looking forward to having another go at it. So once I finish The Body in the Library, I will start on the book I want to read for March of the Mammoths, and that is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. I tried this shortly after it came out in 2019, and I didn't quite get on with it, but I want to give it another go to it, or have another go at it. And then for March of the Moderns, I'm going to be reading the Conan stories by Robert E. Howard. These stories were written in the early to mid 30s, which comes at the tail end of the period. And also, I was inspired to read these because of Paperback Junkie. He's been doing a series of videos on Robert E. Howard's Conan stories, and that really lit a fire that I'd had earlier this year to make a project of reading all of the Conan stories. But I finished reading them earlier than I'd originally planned to. So I will be reading these three, the Del Rey editions, and see if they also could work as March of the March of the Mammoths. I'm sorry, my brains are... Okay, so, yeah, this is 400. So, this book is 400. Conquering Sword of Conan is... $350. So yeah, almost there. We're about 5 something, 7 something, and yeah. So these three together, The Coming of Conan the Cimmerian, The Conquering Sword of Conan, and The Bloody Crown of Conan, all combined to over 800 pages. So even though these are individual books, I'm going to combine them. I know there is an edition of the Robert E. Howard Conan stories in one edition, one volume, but I don't have it, and when I went to look for it, it is incredibly expensive, so I'm going with this. And one thing I thought of is not next year, but maybe the year after, I could do for March of the Mammoths like a complete, in 1 month, the entirety of Legend of the Condor Hero series. Or I could wait a bit and do the Return of the Condor Hero series, both by Jin Yong. Hopefully, the Return of the Condor Heroes will be published like the Legend of the Condor Heroes series has been. And of course I will be getting to A Snake Lies Waiting towards the end of the month if I can work it out. I'm not entirely sure when I'm going to be getting A Heart Divided, the 4th and final volume of Legend of the Condor Heroes. The release date I think is in late March, and so it'll probably be closer to, or if not into April, before I get it. So probably might do something similar to what I did with Mediocre by Ijeoma Olowo and kind of like show it and read it before I officially haul it. So instead of being with the rest of the Legend of the Condor Heroes, they'll be here in the new books section. Anyway, so that's my reading plans. What have I been watching? So on Friday, I originally wanted to watch I Am Michael. It's a movie starring James Franco as Michael Glatzy, who was, I don't know necessarily if it was a founder or just a writer editor for XY, excuse me, gay youth magazine, of which I was a subscriber in the early 2000s when I was a baby gay. And so I Am Michael is about Michael Glatzy's health. He has a health crisis and becomes a born-again Christian and becomes very prominent in the X-Game movement. And I started the movie, and the acting put me off. The acting was terrible. So I bailed on it, and instead I watched Steve Donahue's Friday Reads. And then on Saturday, I watched the rest of season 2 of Jessica Jones, which, again, I'm not liking. I mean, I in general don't like the Marvel Netflix shows. And I think Jessica Jones is my second least favorite. My least favorite's The Punisher. But I did like the parts of the main plot of Jessica Jones's sort of investigation into her origins and the family reunion that results. And I really liked Trish Walker and Malcolm DeCasey's individual character arcs. I thought both were really good and well done. I loathed the Jerry Hogarth character arc, and I know for sure I'm going to loathe it when I get to season 3, because, yeah. And then some of the other subplots I didn't particularly care for, and I thought were quite useless. So anyway, on Sunday I did not watch Ice Fantasy. So at the rate I'm going, I'm probably going to have to start all over with episode 1 in a few months. I didn't really feel like it. And then on Tuesday, yes, it was Tuesday, I watched a presentation from the New York Public Library. Arcady Martine talked about her new book, A Desolation Called Peace, in conversation with Sarah Gailey. And that discussion was amazing. Just brilliant. Made me want to buy all of Martine's future books, all of Sarah Gailey's books. So it was quite good. I also watched, I don't know if it was this past week or the week before, Week to Week from the Commonwealth Club. It's not weekly, it's bi-monthly, tri-monthly political show where they talk about national politics and California state politics and politics local to California, and I adore it. I have a soft spot for San Francisco and San Francisco politics since I lived there for a few months in 2006 and fell in love with the KQED, the San Francisco PBS station. And so, yeah, I quite enjoyed it. And I watched the season finale series finale of WandaVision, which was phenomenal. It actually made me bawl. I cried. It was so effective. And I'm looking forward to where Wanda Maximoff goes from here, and also wondering how exactly Marvel will reintroduce Billy and Tommy Maximoff as Billy Kaplan and Thomas Shepard, and how exactly Wiccan and Speed and the rest of the Young Avengers will enter into the MCU, and if there are any plans for that. So, as far as viewing goes this coming week, I don't know if I'm going to watch any movies tonight. I might try to get some BookTube videos watched or some other things on YouTube. I also need to get to London Spy. It's going to be leaving Netflix at the end of this month. And probably need to get started on Daredevil Season 3. So, anyway, BookTube, that's my plans for this coming week. I will hopefully see you for some more videos next week. Obviously a tag video or two and weekly reads. And I also want to do some discussion videos, which I really need to get to. But anyway, BookTube, I'll be signing off for now. Thank you. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next week. Until then, and stay safe.